Hey all, thanks for checking out my channel. Happy Christmas, holidays, whatever you guys celebrate, if you celebrate. But what's coming up right now is the new year, and I kind of want to take this time to talk about something that affects every creative and, kind of has since the beginning of time, but that's time. Time is something that no one can get more of. We can get money, we can lose money, we can gain weight, we can lose weight, but we can't get more time. Yeah, you eat well, you take care of yourself. Okay, yes, you can extend that time, but either way, it's the one thing that's always ticking away, and it's something that every creative really battles. Now, I planned to do a different video this week. I wanted to do a video on fundraising for your film and all that, so, but I will do that next week, just because I want to talk about my situation and then how that might pertain to the situation some of you guys are in, as far as being a creative, being a filmmaker, struggling with pretty substantial limitations, a real kind of growth stunt, stunted growth, and just the the many challenges that I have, and I just want to share that a little bit, and then maybe it's something that you guys can learn from. Anyway, so a few years ago, I made a movie called Eminence Hill, and it was very modestly budgeted, but I really went all out. I worked like I always work hard. This is hard work, but this was like exceptionally hard. I mean, I drove the crew really hard. I didn't have a lot of friends by the time this shoot was over. But I wanted it to be my transitional film because not getting any younger and being very handicapped by budget filmmaking, low budget, ultra low budget, nano budget filmmaking as far as my creativity went, that I could just never make the films, tell the stories the way I wanted to tell them. And primarily that was because there's just not enough money. So I wanted that to be my transitional piece. I was going to, put it all, leave it all in the field and then just see what happens. But I was going to promise that I wouldn't do any more ultra lows or, anything like that. After that, I was moving up in the world. But, reality had other plans. I will tell you, though, I wrote a script that was similar in theme, not a sequel, but similar in theme to Eminence Hill, which was received fairly well. And the LA Times said I suck, but I think they suck, so. All's fair, right? I had Lance Henriksen, Barry Corbin, Dominique Swain. I had some, better well-known actors than I usually have. It was a union movie, which most of mine have not been. So yeah, I mean, quality-wise, I think it was a step up. Budget-wise, like I said, it really wasn't. It was pretty much what I make all these movies for, but I virtually made no money on it. I didn't really take a salary because I couldn't. Made the movie to be my, my break. Hopefully, it's my my transitional project. And yeah, that just wrote a script, followed up immediately. It was well received. I sent it around, and it got juice. It was, people liked it. Bigger distributors liked it. It was kind of taking shape very fast, which sometimes is a bad sign. And then, not long after that hit, which everybody understands, that was we just closed down shop, and I made a nano film during that, but that was a little different. I did that because I had nothing else to do. Did it with some friends on top of a mountain, which is a good way to spend your quarantine. There's a video I will link about making a video, making a film in a global lockdown, doing something productive. So check that out if you get a chance. It's called SKINWALKER. But anyway, I wrote this script. It was well received. A certain company was really interested, and they said, we need to get some kind of name cast, and we were thinking on a certain level, probably like $500,000 total budget, which is, if you're considering name cast, really not that much more money than what I had been spending, but because in this situation, usually name cast is going to take at least 100, 200,000, and that's cheap for anybody that's going to sell your movie for you. Cast-driven films, which is 99% of films, are cast-driven. Once you get to a certain dollar amount, every film is basically cast-driven, almost every film. It's bought and sold on who's in it. So, genre and other things like that, they're still important, but they take a big backseat to who's in it, who's the lead, who's your top one, your top 2 and 3 also, but really your top, who's selling your movie for you. Anyway, that went on for a while. COVID obviously shut everything down, and then, we started to kind of rebound. I went out to LA and I took a few jobs writing for a producer, still staying away from the nano budget, still staying away from things that have just kind of been there, done that. And there's a couple of movies that I was pretty proud of that I did for ultra low budget, and then a lot of movies that they are what they are. I'm not ashamed, that's the wrong word, but movies that were just done because I needed money, that's life. Things gradually, working on this other project, it actually got kind of like a big shot in the arm as far as like juice went. Where they wanted to spend suddenly a lot more money. It was a few million, which to me is like, might as well be $1 billion. I mean, coming from nano budget, 3 million is not actually that much for independent, any type of film really. But, considering where you're coming from, 100,000 or less, it's a pretty substantial jump. With 1 million for above the line cast, and I needed to get one actor. And unfortunately, the entire deal was contingent on one actor agreeing to do it, one specific actor. So, I didn't have a casting director, didn't have any really strong, relationships with people in that world in LA on the bigger level. But I called his agency. They were really cool. It's funny because I was trying to cast like smaller people than this person. And they would sometimes have boutique agencies, and they were awful to me. They were like, who are you from Arizona? Just that whole cliche, like if Saturday Night Live did a sketch about Hollywood agents, that's what this was like, really wacky people. But on that way top tier level, it wasn't like that at all. They were like super professional, obviously very business oriented. They didn't waste your time. You didn't waste theirs, this and that. You submit an offer, which is a bit amount of money, and then you wait, basically. You wait. Usually you want to try to get a hold of the manager and not the agent, but that was not available to me, so I had to go directly to the agent. A reason why is managers often have a closer working relationship with the client on a day-to-day basis than the agent does. But in any case, you've got to take what's available and who's willing to talk to you. Particularly if you don't know this person and you've never worked with them before, you're really, your odds of them saying yes are actually pretty slim, only because the money that we were offering was being offered by probably 10, 20 other producers at the time. These people aren't desperate for work. If they were desperate for work, then they couldn't sell a movie. So, the ones that you can get for cheap, they're not gonna cut it. So anyway, and I remember thinking at the time, like, best case scenario, because I had a good script. I mean, a script that other people actually liked more than I did, but that's neither here nor there. I had a well-received script, and I said, best case, I have 50-50 chance. But if I get this close to making that next leap, up to, the bigger independent films, where 3 million, after $1 million for this actor, maybe $1.2 million, $1.3 million, we'd still have like $1.7 million for below the line, which is everything, which is really what's going to make your movie look like a movie as opposed to like a no budget movie. Cinematography, set design, all that stuff. You should, if you're careful, have enough to do something that's, that looks like how you want it to look, that sounds how you want it to sound. I mean, within reason, but certainly you're going to get a lot closer than you will with 100K or less. So anyway, the gentleman passed, and I asked the agent, "Ken, do you know why?" And this is, no, it's not the way it works. A pass is a pass. If it was about money, they would have countered with that. They would have said, "No, you need to up your offer." It's just, nope, pass. So you never know why. Maybe he didn't even read the script. Maybe his manager took a look at it and said, I don't know this guy. Who knows? It essentially doesn't matter, because this story is very common in Hollywood and, in any type of production like that. You line all the pieces up, and then it just comes down to one man or one woman or maybe a couple people's opinions as to whether or not you get that opportunity to grow and get onto that bigger film, or you go back into the trenches. So in my case, I went back into the trenches. I made a couple more ULBs, and, starting to this point, I'm like well into my, early to mid 40s, feeling it a lot more. Physically feeling the limitations, my body, just, I can't haul gear like I used to, on this level. We're our own grips, we're our own assistant cameras. There's no, we're far from a unionized set where you're well taken care of that way. And, again, stuck with that same creative frustration where the films can never be what you want them to be because of the budget. And I want to keep this on an optimistic beat, but I just want to kind of tell you, because everything's evolutionary. I made my first ultra low budget movie when I was in my 20s. So this is going on for 20 years now. And in many respects, I'm kind of at the same place that I was. I know a lot more, I'm a lot more knowledgeable, but my career has not taken that next step. I think I'm a good enough writer. Other people have told me that. Of course, they're always going to tell you you're good. But I mean, no, my stuff's well received. And then, of course, the more really low-budget movies you make, you kind of develop a reputation as being that guy where somebody can come to you with 50 grand and you'll make them a profit. And, you know, be careful of that too, because I'm kind of been in that position where people are like, hey, you know, you'll work like a slave, and, you know, we all got to do what we got to do to eat, but be cautious about that. But anyway, tying this into like a more optimistic thing is like, I know what my goal for the new year has to be. All right, I put that project in question, I put that aside, not because this gentleman said no, or because it was like years trying to make it. Well, I think because it was years trying to make it probably had something to do with it. I really wanted to have something else that I was selling. This was a Western, like a dramatic Western, and I have it. Okay, so it's there, it's packaged, I have the pitch deck, I have the budget, I have the budget on paper. I have everything, should it ever come back, you know, it's ready to go, but I needed something new. So I'm trying to write more of a cerebral horror film that, you know, I'm trying to make it the best script I ever read, which is a dangerous place. You should never do that when you're writing, and I know this. You should just write and let the chips fall where they may, but have something that's, you know, closer to some of the more modern high concept horror that my background favors and that I think I could sell, and not just be plugging this same script to distributors, trying to get pre-sales, trying to get an international sales agent to take the film, like all the way that you actually put together a multi-million-dollar project, low multi-millions or high hundred thousands, whatever. And I need to get that script done. So, you know, that's got to be my goal for this year. Because as I said in the beginning, none of us are getting time back. And I think a lot of people, I know if you guys are watching this, you're probably struggling with that reality of like, when do I start? Well, the best time to start was yesterday, and the second best time is today. Because yeah, I mean, it's like that's probably like, out of all the things I've heard that I hate, is somebody saying, well, we have time. Because we never, ever, ever, ever have time. We want to live a life where we feel a certain level of creative fulfillment. That's why we're storytellers. So you have to really jump without a parachute, you know, because otherwise you're never going to get anything as far as creative fulfillment, as far as seeing your vision on screen. Had I listened to people when I was starting out, I'd probably still be storyboarding my first short film. And not that my career's really gone the way I was just talking about my frustrations with my career and how limited I felt. But at least I've, you know, there's a couple of films anyway that if I die tomorrow, I'm proud of. And I'm like, okay, those will live on after me. I was creatively happy with them. You know, whether they made the most money or not or whatever, they were the movies that, you know, I really enjoyed the most. And even if they were really the most difficult to make in some respects, they were, I look back with pride at those movies because I was really more me and less, you know, less just, I guess I was more the artist and less the businessman, or, you know, I don't know, however you want to, but I just want to encourage you guys, man. Think about this new year. Think about what you can do for your idea. Don't wait. And anybody who tells you to wait is full of shit. Don't listen to them. They've never done it. There is no waiting, and you don't have time. But I hope that everybody, you know, we've been through this crazy, 2024 was crazy, you know, politics and all that and everything that's changing in the world. There's a lot going on. But I think as creatives, we should start with a high note saying, I'm going to accomplish this, you know, come hell or high water. And, you know, don't be crazy. Don't quit your job tomorrow and mortgage your house to make your little movie, but set reasonable goals for yourself. Like, you know, I'm going to write X amount of pages a day on my screenplay. You know, I'm going to, you know, and no matter how bad anything turns out in the beginning, that's not the point. The point is that you had the follow through to finish it. Let's say you go out and you make a 10-minute short and it's your first time doing anything and you're embarrassed to show it to people. Well, finish it. No matter how bad it is, finish it, because you're going to learn so much. And maybe you will end up just keeping it in a drawer and not showing it. That's okay. As long as you finish it and you make another and you don't give up. But that's it. I just want to say that to you guys, man. Happy New Year. Let's make this a year. Let's make 2025 a year where goals are met, goals are set, and goals are met. So, all right. Love you guys. I'll talk to you next week, and we'll be back on, you know, micro budget, low budget filmmaking 101, talking about how I have gone about getting the financing for my film and the ideas that I have for you guys. All right. Take care. Bye.